So do you ever go on Pinterest or YouTube? I mean, you're on YouTube right now, but do you ever look at those girls that make the beautiful gowns or outfits or things for their home, and you just think, wow, they just must be like these super talented people that, you know, have been sewing for years, or they just have some innate gift, some knack for it, and that will never be me. Well, that is what I thought. For over 30 years, I was a diehard, lifelong hot gluer, and that I would never be able to sew, that it was just some lofty dream that I had, and that I just didn't have it in me to be able to sew. But here's what changed. I got inspired. What inspired me was a new friend of mine. We became Facebook friends. I know I'm aging myself. But I saw on her Facebook page that she had gone to this dance of sorts, and she was wearing a period costume. Wow, that's kind of like funny and fun and different. And I mentioned it to her, and she said, "Oh yeah." She's like, "I've gone to that one. I've gone to that one. I've gone to like several other historic dance type things." And I was like, wow, that's just really fun. And she would go by herself, which I thought was very brave. And so she was like, yeah, she's like, I actually have one coming up and I have an extra ticket. Do you want to go? So I was like, I don't know. I'm not a big costumey person. I don't know. But then at the same time, it was a new friend. It would be fun to get to hang out with my new friend. So I said yes. I bought a dress off of Amazon. It was a Bridgerton event. So I bought a Regency dress off of Amazon for like $30. And I remember I felt so stupid because I was like, please, God, don't let me have to stop and get gas or something because I felt so stupid in my gown. But of course I got there and everybody's all dressed up. I mean, even more so, over the top, because if you've never watched Bridgerton before, there's like a queen and and I actually have still never watched Bridgerton. I've heard about it, and I know that it includes some things that are not really, in line with my idea of like what the Pride and Prejudice era was like. So we went and it was fun. And she actually had another one she was going to and had an extra ticket. So I agreed to go with her to that one. And she had made her gown. And I was just like, wow. I'm like, you must be really, really good at that. You must have been just sewing for years. And she was like, no, actually, I just started. She's like, this is only the second thing I've ever made. And I was so impressed. I was like, wow. She's like, yeah. She's like, you just have to make friends with your seam ripper, which at the time I didn't even know what a seam ripper is. And, here I am, a year and a half later, I definitely know what a seam ripper is. And I have made very good friends with it. So I thought, that could be a fun challenge. I'll get a seam ripper and I will give making this gown a go. It'll teach me how to use the sewing machine that I've just let sit there for all these years. For me, there was very few cons and lots of pros. I decided to go for it. I didn't actually just start right away with a gown. If you're like very, very, very beginner like me and don't even really know how to use a sewing machine, the first thing I did was crack open my sewing machine manual, which I know I don't like to read manuals. I don't like to read directions. I do like to read, and lately I like to read anything with Jack Reacher in it. And I know that is like a whole weird thing that I don't even get myself. But anyway, story for another day. So I cracked open the manual and I just looked up the parts. I'm like, how to turn it on, what the different little knobs did. And my sewing machine is very simple. It's just this Scholastic by Singer. And so there's not a lot of knobs, the buttons. But I just looked at, the essentials that I needed. But just to get an idea of how it all worked. And then I just practice stitched, on some scrap fabric And when I got comfortable that I wasn't going to break it, and that I could actually like stitch a line and have it not all tangle up and everything. You know, once I had the feel for it, I found a super beginner pattern on, and it was for pajama bottoms. So I went to Hobby Lobby and they have a clearance section, and I just bought the cheapest fabric I could get that would be enough. And it was like this like little colorful little llamas on it. So I wasn't gonna wear it out in public or anything. It was just pajama bottoms. I got that and I did the pattern, and she was correct when she said very beginner. And at the end of it, I had a pair of pajama pants, bottoms, shorts. The only caveat is that I sized up several sizes because I just had this fear that they weren't gonna fit, and they were already oversized. So these pajama bottoms were like literally the size of like, it would fit like a small hippopotamus. I mean, they were huge. They were like clown pants size. So yeah, so not something I could actually wear, but they did look like pajama bottoms. So encouraged by that success, I decided to move on to a gown. So one tip that I think helped me is that I didn't have a deadline. So if you have prom or something like that coming up, or you have a ball or a costume event that you want it for, I would definitely plan to like have a backup. I mean, you could do it, but maybe have a backup dress or outfit or whatever to wear, just in case that it doesn't turn out quite the way that you think it's going to. So not having a deadline just took a lot of pressure off. I also gave myself the grace to not even wear what I made. I didn't spend a lot of money on fabric. I bought something that was pretty, but it was on the cheaper side, so that if I messed it up, and trust me, you will mess up, I could go back and I can get a little more if I needed to. And on that note, on messing up, that is another tip that I would give you, is that plan to mess up. You know, be okay with messing up, and know that messing up is part of the part of the process. Because, you know, when you're learning to walk, you know, you fall down all the time. When you're learning to ride a bike, you fall down. You know, lots of things, like lots of skills that you acquire, you know, there's mess ups. It's part of the learning process. So I just went in knowing that I had my trusty seam ripper if, you know, I sewed something wrong. And I think my very first video, I show how I made this dress, and yeah, I messed up a lot. Something's very wrong with this picture. But I learned from my mistakes, and that's what we have to do. The other the other mindset thing that I think really helped is that I just told myself I couldn't quit. You know, it may be a mess, it may not be perfect, but I couldn't give up. I couldn't, you know, even those times when I just felt so frustrated and, you know, I just wanted to rip the whole thing up and just chuck it in the trash, you know, because there's a lot of times like that. I just told myself, no, you don't throw it away. You can't give up. And on that note, I would say take it in chunks. You know, if especially if you have either a long time to make the dress or the gown or whatever, just work on it a little bit at a time. And when you start to feel that frustration kind of bubble up, you know, it's time to just set it down and walk away. Because I know recently I've tried to, you know, challenge myself to make something in a week, and I made many more mistakes that I probably wouldn't have made, you know, if I didn't have a deadline. And on that note, when you are feeling frustrated and you come across something that's challenging or hard or confusing, you know, and you're like, why do I have to do this? If I just sewed it just like this, you know, it'll probably be just as good, right? And I've had these exact same thoughts. But now that I've sewn, you know, maybe a dozen or so more items of clothing, I have seen the difference. You know, the sewers and pattern makers that like add in these extra little details and these little touches that just seem like, oh, that's just a pain, and why do we have to do that? It makes such a big difference in the finished product, from something that looks like homemade to something that looks, you know, store-bought, or in my opinion, even better. And at the end of the day, don't compare yourself. the old saying is, comparison is the thief of joy. And, if you're comparing your skills and your abilities to someone that's, that probably has been doing this for years, or maybe did take sewing lessons or go to, fashion school. We're not learning that way. We're learning at home. We're learning, from a video, or, maybe you have a friend or a family member that's helping you. We're learning we're having our own sewing journey, and you're going to be good at some things and you're going to be not so good at things. And some things are going to click and some things are not going to click. And that is definitely how it is for me. But the thing about sewing is that it is something that can be learned. It is a skill. It's not like an innate gift, like beautiful singing voice or, amazing artistic talent where somebody can just draw, whatever. My husband's like that. But I do believe that it is an innate gift or like athletic ability, But sewing is something that it has rules, it has structure. And if you follow the plan, you will be able to make, the end product. And, it may not be perfect. But the more and more you do it, the better and better it gets, the more closer and closer it looks like, your desired end goal. So, sewing definitely is a skill that can be learned, and I think anybody can do it, and I really believe that 100%. So after a year and a half, where am I on my sewing journey? I've made about 4 Regency dresses, and there may be another Regency dress in me. I don't know. I don't have a ball set yet, but if there is, I have a very good feeling that I will want a new dress. So if you watch this far, I feel like you're already on your way. You're looking for just that little bit of a push just to get started. So if a diehard hot gluer who had sworn off sewing due to a serious lack of confidence in myself can, after all these years, learn how to do it, I promise you that you can too. Sewing has brought excitement back into my life. Not that I was lacking excitement. I have 3 boys, plenty of excitement in my life. But it's a different kind of excitement, of possibility. If I make something that I'm proud of, I want to wear it to a dance or to a dinner or to an outing or of some sort. It's also given me a little fire in my belly that, in my 50s, I just didn't think I'd ever have again. It's excitement and possibility. It's a creative outlet that also has structure, and it gives me this feeling of accomplishment when I finish, even if it's not perfect. And as a mom who willfully and joyfully, centered my world around my 3 little boys for over 20 years. And they did what all children do. If you've raised them right, they grew up. So sewing helped me answer that question this time in my life of, now what? So whether you're 20 or 50 or 90 or anywhere along the age spectrum, I hope this video gives you encouragement and inspiration to crack open your own sewing machine manual. Go to your local fabric store if you're lucky enough to have one, touch some fabric, dream a little, and when you're ready, start sewing. Thank you for stopping by my sewing room today. If you like to support the channel, give it the old like, subscribe, and YouTube will show it to other wannabe sewers, and we can all crack open our sewing manuals and read them together. Have a great day.